got to fight this guy. Oh, you got injured in camp. You lose to that guy too. Now you're set back when you could have been a champion.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of like weirdness going on with possibilities and, you know, just luck, bad luck, and good luck.
Bad luck and good luck. Timing, I think, is a big thing.
How is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's completely unfair. It is completely just, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled.
And then going out there and taking on a guy that is maybe 92 pounds heavier, that is at least 65 pounds heavier than you. That is called one thing. That's called being.
The upcoming fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta "Tank" Davis has set off a storm of criticism across the boxing world, with fighters, analysts, and commentators openly calling it a mockery of the sport. What was meant to be another headline-grabbing event from Jake Paul has turned into a heated debate about ethics, safety, and the loss of competitive integrity in modern boxing. The reactions from Joe Rogan, Michael Bisping, Teddy Atlas, Daniel Cormier, Leonard Ellerbay, and Showbiz the Adult all share one core message: this fight should never have been approved. The size gap alone is staggering, and the intentions behind the bout feel more like a cash grab than an athletic contest.
Gervonta Davis. This is not a fight that I'm excited for at all. I would rather have Gervonta Davis fighting in a real boxing match against the likes of Lamont Roach, Shakur Stevenson, Keyshawn Davis, Emmanuel Navarrete, anybody that is in the 135-pound division and around. That's who I want to see Gervonta Davis fight. However, we live in a world where everybody is trying to do things as big as possible. And the biggest fights possible right now, unfortunately for the sport of boxing, is an exhibition fight between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis. So I do like it for this reason, though. I like it because it is allowing Gervonta Davis to have a fight that is going to be big and that the mainstream media is going to have to cover, the mainstream media outside the world of boxing. Gervonta Davis has been, without a doubt, blocked, having venues blocked, having fighters, having other promoters paying fighters away to go different directions from Gervonta Davis. So Gervonta Davis was in a bit of a hole. And he gets an opportunity to fight Jake Paul for $200 million or whatever. I don't mind it at all. As long as Gervonta Davis comes back to the world of boxing after he gets done with this, hey man, you got your money, no worries. But you gotta love Dana White having the audacity to pick Jake Paul.
Joe Rogan was one of the first major voices to call out the insanity of the matchup. On his podcast, Rogan didn't hold back, calling Jake Paul's decision to fight Gervonta Davis completely unfair and dangerous. He emphasized that weight classes exist in boxing for a reason, to protect fighters from injuries caused by mismatched opponents. Rogan said the size gap between Jake Paul, who walks around at about 200 pounds, and Gervonta Davis, who fights at lightweight around 135 pounds, is massive and reckless. According to Rogan, Jake Paul's approach to boxing has become more about showmanship and self-promotion than about testing his actual skill in the ring.
No time limit within the weight class.
Yeah, that'd be sweet.
That would be that'd be pretty wild.
Yeah, that'd be pretty crazy.
Because you know, like two guys are facing off each other, like, and they know, like, there's no rescue every 5 minutes.
Yeah. And you go into it knowing you're either getting knocked down or submitted, or you're doing that to the other person.
Michael Bisping echoed Rogan's frustration, going even deeper into why the matchup discussed true fighters. Bisping said that Jake's behavior shows he's chasing fame rather than real respect. He reminded listeners that boxing is supposed to be about fair competition, two athletes testing themselves under equal terms. Instead, Jake Paul is choosing to fight men who are physically disadvantaged or past their prime. Bisping brought up Jake's previous fight with Mike Tyson, pointing out that Tyson was 58 years old and long retired. You can't call that a win, Bisping said. You can't celebrate beating a 58-year-old man and then pretend you're one of the greats.
That's called being a bully. It was bad enough when he fought Mike Tyson, a man that was 58 years old, and he was walking around like, I just beat the baddest man on the planet. I just destroyed Mike Tyson and went out there and I beat him, and him and his brother are all celebrating and shit like that. It's like, dude, what are you doing? What don't you understand about this? If you want respect from your peers, if you want everyone on the planet to look at you and take you seriously and give you credit as a boxer, you have to take on challenges that are real, You have to go up against someone that keeps you up at night, against someone that gets you out of bed in the morning to go for a run because the fear of them beating you down is real. Not going up against someone that is so small. If you were to go up to this guy in a bar and try and start a fight with them, people would look at you and say one word: whoa, 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 stop being such a bully. Leave him alone. You are way bigger than this guy. And that's clearly what we have here. It is ridiculous. When you look at the tail of the tape, Gervonta Tank Davis, granted, a very, very skilled boxer, a world champion. He's had some great wins. He's had a tremendous career. He's got 28 knockouts on his record. I'm just looking at the tail of the tape here. 30 years old, Jake Paul, 28. Gervonta Davis is 5'5" tall, whereas Jake Paul is 6'1". I would never dream on picking on a guy that is 5'5" tall. Granted, there's some tough guys out there that are 5'5", okay? They're smaller guys, you know, but for 5'5", they'll pack a good punch. Typically, they're mixed martial artists or boxers. Yeah.
Teddy Atlas, the legendary trainer and commentator, joined in with his trademark bluntness. He reacted to the face-off between Jake Paul and Gervonta Davis with disbelief, saying the size difference was so extreme that it looked like something out of a movie. Atlas joked that Davis would need a ladder just to reach Jake's chin. Beyond the humor, he made it clear that this was not a real contest. He acknowledged that skill differences and fighting styles always play a role in boxing, but said that in this case, the physical disparity is far too great to ignore.
Right. They should also have like the size of the ring, the size of the glove, all that stuff. Particulars should be in the contract. But I would probably look for one thing that is not the common thing to have in a contract if I'm Tank. A ladder. A ladder. Can I get a ladder? Somebody? You know what I mean? Hey, look, if he hits him on the chin the way he can punch, Jake might be doing a dance. You know what I mean? Not voluntarily either. But we'll get into that more later. The thing that I'm talking about right here is what you said. It was stark. The size difference was really, you couldn't ignore it. We understand the talent difference, the experience difference. We understand all of that. But the size, the pure, and we understand small guys can beat big guys. We just saw Crawford do it to Canelo, but you know, a little different. The size difference was, I mean, it was eye-catching, jaw-dropping, and it made me think. And I'm gonna ask Richie, our man here who's doing all the taping, who does such a marvelous job. I'm gonna ask him because I know he's an expert in this area. But it reminded me of one of the Rocky movies where they had the face, where they did the wrestling thing with Rocky and Hulk Hogan, AKA Thunderlips. He was Thunderlips back then.
Daniel Cormier also expressed outrage at how this fight was even sanctioned. The former UFC champion said the whole setup looked flawed from the start. Cormier recalled the first press conference where, unbelievably, Gervonta Davis didn't even know what weight class they were fighting in. That, Cormier said, was the biggest red flag. The bout was reportedly set for a maximum weight of 195 pounds, meaning Davis, a natural 135-pounder, would have to jump up 60 pounds just to meet the limit. Cormier called it an embarrassment to the sport and said it's proof that boxing's priorities have shifted entirely from safety to spectacle. He pointed out that boxing used to have strict regulations to prevent this kind of mismatch, and that such massive disparities in size and weight go against the entire purpose of having weight classes in the first place.
Jake Paul. Yesterday they had their first press conference. One of the most recognizable things is Jake Paul is huge compared to Gervonta Davis. And two, Gervonta Davis don't even know what weight they fight, D.
Maximum weight of 195 pounds for this exhibition. The fight will be contested over 10 3-minute rounds.
I said it was 190.
The fight is 195 pounds, Tank, as you know.
DC, I watched this, and we have our priorities way misplaced when we're talking about boxing. Like, everybody's complaining about this Ali act and all. Like, how is something like this allowed to happen? How is Jake Paul allowed to fight Gervonta Davis? It's
I don't know.
Completely unfair. It is completely just, it's, I can't say the word that I want to say because I don't want to get canceled, but this fight should not be happening. And The press conference was embarrassing. Gervonta Davis should not have a mic in front of him. It was absolutely embarrassing watching this thing.
D, why? Why, D?
Just the fact that, like, every time when Jake Paul would say something to Gervonta Davis, he didn't know how to answer it. He was comparing himself to, like, P. Diddy at moments, and I was like, oh my God, get a mic away from this guy. This fight shouldn't be happening. And then he didn't even know what weight they were fighting. Like, I thought it was 190, it was 195.
That was the craziest thing. That was the thing that stood out to me the most. Was that when they go, the rehydration limit or something is 195, and he goes, wait, I thought it was 190. Dean.
Leonard Ellerbe, who has worked closely with Gervonta Davis throughout his career, gave a more personal look at Tank's mindset. He revealed that Davis has struggled with motivation for a while now. Ellerbe explained that Tank couldn't get mentally prepared for his last fight with Lamont Roach and admitted that Davis wasn't inspired or in the right headspace. He said Tank's focus has shifted from chasing titles to securing financial stability. Ellerbe said Davis didn't want to keep fighting just for the sake of it. He wanted to fight for money, not legacy. This revelation made the decision to fight Jake Paul clearer. Joe Rogan later revisited the issue on another segment, clarifying that while he respects Tank Davis's career and understands the financial side, he believes fighters like him are contributing to boxing's decline. Rogan said that when top-level boxers start chasing easy money instead of great fights, the sport loses its meaning. He added that people complain boxing is dying, but it's dying because fighters stop fighting the best. Rogan's comments reflect a frustration shared by many longtime fans who've watched the sport shift from competitive legacy bouts to flashy, influencer-driven exhibitions.
To the problem, my opinion is, I just want to say, in case someone calls me into court, I'm a fucking idiot and I don't know nothing. And don't take my advice.
I love the Saudis.
Don't take my opinion.
I love the Israeli government. I love everybody.
That had nothing to do with them. That was Jake Paul promoting it. You know, it's just like,
but
doesn't bother me.
There's compromising the sport, and that's like bad. It's just like
if I bet on it,
watching
it
is hard. Watching it with people who are so in on it, and then also man, the sports betting apps, they introduced like chat apps in them in Australia, so it's like they're trying to take the place of social media companies where you go together and you meet your friends. Like betting should be exciting enough without having a weird.
They're just trying to draw you in. They're just trying to make money, right? So they're trying to draw you in any way they can.
Showbiz the Adult offered a more balanced take, acknowledging that Jake Paul has done some good for boxing, especially when it comes to promoting women's boxing and bringing younger audiences to the sport. He gave Jake credit for using his platform to create mainstream buzz and for helping smaller promotions get more attention, but at the same time, he said the constant stream of mismatched fights has gone too far. Showbiz said Jake Paul has become a master promoter but a questionable athlete, constantly choosing opponents who can't compete with him physically. He said, Jake Paul the promoter has helped boxing. Jake Paul the fighter has hurt it.
Going to sing his praises like a hero. Though Jake Paul is definitely appreciated by the boxing world when it comes to what he is giving to the sport, especially women's boxing, okay? I mean, it goes without saying that Jake Paul, an MVP, has added to the sport of boxing. But Jake Paul, the fighter, people are over his shit. There's a huge amount of boxing pugilists in the boxing community who's over his shit. And if Gervonta Tank Davis stops that, if he is the one who stops this whole train, knocking out Jake Paul, he will become a boxing hero. People will then say, now get the hell out the sport. And I'm talking about from a fighter's perspective. That's what they're going to say. Now, it's not going to go on either one of their official